guys? It's Vanity Ezel back at another Ezel in the Vanity weekly reveals. So if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Patreon. Let's get this one started. First off, before I get this one started, quick disclaimer. I have finally goddamn finished sophomore year in high school. So now I can, during the summer, I can actually record more videos, which means Inazuma 11 is coming back. So for those of you who subscribe to Inazuma 11, don't worry, it's coming back. I just had to take a quick break for something. And for those of you waiting on my next Pokemon thing, that's also coming back. Just be patient. I almost got them ready. I just need a bit more time. So on to the actual weekly reveals. I'll also be able to do more card fights for the record, so good. Anyways, Hellblast Full Dive. First up, we got a grade 3 order from Dark States, which looks really cool. I gotta admit, this is straight up one of my favorite arts of all time. Counterblast 1, draw a card, call a card from hand to rear, and to end of turn if you are in Final Rush, all of your formal units get plus 10. So it's a pseudo-persona ride. You get to call a unit from hand just for free effect, and you get to draw them, basically. It has a beautiful-ass art, and a pseudo-persona ride, if you're in Final Rush. So even if you don't, Persona Ride during your first Final Rush turn, you're still getting that plus 10k. And if you do Persona Ride, that's plus 20 to front row. Straight up, really good card. I honestly would say you might want to replace this with, no, you wouldn't do that. I'd say about 3 or 4, because this thing's really good. I mean, you might even want to replace Brother Soul for this if you still run it. I still do it because it's a free soul charge too, but I feel like this thing's really good. Next up, we have Steam Engineer Peppery, 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto rear, when this unit boosts a rear guard, if you Persona Road this turn, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1 to end of turn, your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater cards from hand to guard circle. Okay, so you can prevent your opponent from using Sentinels, so that's good. We finally have a Sentinel Restrict. I don't think we actually did get a Sentinel Restrict, unless you count your opponent has to guard with 2 or more, but finally we got those. I like this card, it just restricts Sentinels, so cool. Next up we have Horn of Blessings, one of my favorite cards. Grade 3 order for Dragon Empire, discard a card with the order ability and draw 2. Really cool. I like its art. I like the maidens blowing their horns. I like the actual name, Horn of Blessing. And I like that it's a draw 2. I like cards that, I've said this before and I will say it again, I like cards that give you a draw 2. I don't care what the cost is. If it is a draw of 2, I'm happy with it. And this is kind of like that. And this is the closest thing that people can say is a Pot of Greed in Vanguard, because it's straight up the only cost is discard an overdress unit. Most of the time, you're probably going to discard Verena, unless you're me. In that case, you're going to discard Verena Arcs, because I don't like Verena Arcs. It's my least favorite card in all of Overdress. If you see me discard Verena Arcs, it's not a misplay. I'm probably doing it on purpose just to say, fuck Verena Arcs. Next up, we have Blaze Fist Monk E10, 8k base, grade 1, boost, 5k shield. Auto rear, when the unit boosted hits, Soul Boss 1 and retire it. Choose one of your units, and it gets plus 10k power to battle. So that's good. You can give plus 10k. I see you could run this in Eugene, because Eugene does need the numbers. After I think it was a double rare reveal, that it doesn't really need that much numbers now, but it's still helpful. So 10k to something. I don't think this works best in Nirvana, or at least the way I play Nirvana, it doesn't. It might help you if you play Nirvana like a normal person, but I don't play Nirvana like a normal person, so this doesn't help me at all. But if you did, it's a 10k to something, making it harder to guard the Reina Valientes. So that's good. Next up, we have the Order. The Moment of Capture. Aurora Battle Princess. 24-hour attention. So, before I get onto this thing, if you remember Hero World from Buddy Fight, the dead game, they had really funny names for their spells, or long-ass names that were not necessary whatsoever. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that I just found funny, because I kept using it in a joke, was It Doesn't Work. Granted, there have been longer names and much more funnier names, but I don't know why I find it doesn't work so funny. Anyways, this is a grade 2 order for Brantgate, which is technically Hero World for Vanguard, so, maybe Brantgate is going to become Hero World. Soul Blast 1, if your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand, they choose 1 card from among them and place it into the prison, and if you have 3 or more cards in prison, until end of turn, one of your units gets plus 5k power. Thank God! They finally did it. I have been waiting for a card besides Razak Pink that says you can imprison from hand. Thank you, God. I do not care it's a once per turn because it's an order card. It's a imprison from hand. Thank you, Bushy. I greatly appreciate you. Now I no longer need to riot you for things that you wronged me for in the past. Thank you. The 5k is okay, I guess. But thank you, God, we have an imprisoned from hand. Next up is Aurora Battle Princess Mel Horizon. 13k base, grade 3, twin drag, persona ride. Auto rear when this unit when it attacks a vanguard. Counterblast 1, choose an opponent's rear guard, imprison it, and you're prisoned, and it gets plus 5k power down the turn. So basically a better version of Alert Guard Gunner, except the difference is this one cost a counterblast, but Alert Guard Gunner had to hit, so 50-50. And honestly, I like this more than Fair Tiger, because, yeah, Tiger became a 15k swing regardless if you could imprison something or not, and it also could just do it for a Soul Blast, but, you know, I like if this one hits magic numbers, and you still get to imprison something, and the difference was Fair Tiger can only imprison front row, this thing can imprison anything, so I like this more than Fair Tiger. It's also an Aurora Battle Princess, and if you know me, I like to shove cards of the same archetype together. So this is a 4-of for me. And this thing right here is also a 4-of. Just want to let that be clear. Next up, we have Cleed Muddler. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, a double rare for Barrow Magnus. Auto rear, when this unit attacks, if your Vanguard is Barrow Magnus, discard 1 until end of turn battle. This card gets plus 5k power, so it's a 15k swinger. And if you have 10 or more cards in soul, countercharge 1. So we get another countercharger. My only thing against this is you don't need it. Now, don't get me wrong. Barrow Magnus, you know, if depending on how aggressive you play it, you might need counterblast. Like, I've seen my friend go really ham with Barrow Magnus. When I say really ham, I mean he used 4 counterblast in one go, despite the fact he didn't need to, just so that he could use Barrow Magnus' 15 soul skill on his first grade 3 turn. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. And, yeah, granted, that this card will help people like that, but you don't need this. I feel like Selfish Engraver does it enough. Like, Selfish Engraver has been the sole reason why my Barrow Magnus deck keeps winning. It's not Barrow Magnus, I can promise you, because there's no way I would ever have, like, the counterblast for it. And the discarding thing, it's like, do you really need it? Because you're not sending something to soul, while Selfish Engraver does, so you're actually constantly increasing your soul, not to mention has an on-hit pressure. I just like Selfish Engraver more. If you want this, you can get it. There's nothing wrong with it. Just me personally, Selfish Engraver feels better than this card. And then we have Different Ability Extraction, a interesting art that I both like and hate at the same time. Grade 3 order for Dark States and Barrow Magnus to an extent. Counterblast 1, discard 1, Soul Charge 3, then if you have 10 or more cards in Soul, you may add a card from Soul to hand. So yeah, you're getting a basic Persona ride back, maybe a PG, maybe your Overtrigger, maybe a Selfish Engraver, maybe a this thing if you ran it in your deck. Or you can do what I can see a lot of people doing now. Shove this into Bruce, Soul Charge 3, you immediately hit Final Rush, you win the game. You may not be able to get a card to hand, but you will probably win the game. Like, that is my main problem with my Bruce deck. It's built perfectly fine. I'm always able to, like, get the soul charge amount I need, but when I swing for Final Rush twice, if by some ungodly miracle my opponent lives, I am tapped out. I have no soul left, or if I do, I have 1. I basically use my entire hand to attack them. Even if I do survive to my next turn, unless I top deck into something I didn't put into my deck, I don't have enough soul to do it, but if I had this thing, then I would. So, this card, if it didn't have Barrow Magnus on the art, I would probably run in the Bruce deck. But I would not do that because it has Barrow Magnus on the art. Yes, that is the only reason why I'm not running it. But you can do as you wish because I feel like this is a really good card for Bruce. And now, on to something I have been waiting for, and Bushy did it perfectly. Sylvan Horde Beast, Irita. Before I get on to the reason why I like this card, actually, no, let's get the reason first. Grade 3 for Sylvan Horde Beast, which I really want there to be a grade 3 for, despite the fact the deck doesn't technically need it. 2, it's a goddamn elephant. If you know anything about me, elephants are my favorite animal in the entire world. So thankfully, they made this motherfucker an elephant. I don't care that it doesn't have a Vanguard skill, as I wish it did, but it's fine because it's in the game and I'm picking up 4 copies of it immediately. Anyways, 13k base as usual. Auto rear when this attacks. If there are 2 or more units in the front row, it gets plus 5k power at the end of turn. So it's an 18k swinger on any place on the board, whether it's in back row or in front row. And if there are 3 or more, Soul Charge 1. So it's a free 18k swing, regardless of where it is on the board, and is a Soul Charge 1 for free as well. Bushy, I don't know if you just went into my house and then read my diary, but if you did, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. I'm really glad that 1, this thing exists, and 2, that you made it an elephant. I am very glad. Thank you, Bushy. Next, and this is gonna be the thumbnail now. I was gonna make it focusing on like the newest card that we've got for V Series, but after seeing this fucker, yeah, fuck no, V Series can go to hell. That fucker's going on the thumbnail. Anyways, Sylvan Horde Beast Bilby Bar, 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Act rear guard, Soul Blast 1 and retire this unit. Look at top 3, choose up to 1 unit from among them, call it to back row rear guard, and then put the rest into your drop zone until end of turn. That unit cannot move to a different rear guard. So, you know, that's good. You basically, granted you have to Soul Blast 1 and kill this thing, but you get to check top 3, call anything that you want that is a unit to a back row circle, and the rest go into drop, and then, you know, the circle can't move, but as long as it's not a trigger, you're fine. And even if it is a trigger, you're probably going to keep it there. I would say you could probably see this. I don't like this because you're kind of, 1, milling out your deck, and I feel like you don't need to do that in this deck, and 2, it's like, a Soul Blast 1 and retire it to something that might not work and probably backfire. Like, Sylvan Horde Beasts are doing well. I think the only problem with Sylvan Horde Beasts is more Counterblast than Soul Blast, which is why I feel like this doesn't need to be a Soul Charge. But at the same time, like, the Soul Charge still helps, especially if you're trying to rush your opponent down with Lattice, which is a genuine strategy. I cannot tell you how many times I've lost to Sylvan Horde Beast because my opponent just called 3 Lattice to the back row and rushed the shit out of me with them. So, I can understand why this thing exists, but I feel like you don't need it. Next up is Cardinoroid Thumborneo. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost, a double rare for a double rare for Orphis. Auto rear, when this unit boosts a Shadow Army token, you may have it get plus 15k power time to turn. If you do, at the end of the battle, retire all rear guards, all of yours, in the same column as this unit and draw a card. So this dies, the Shadow Army token dies, but you get to draw a card. I like this thing. Because of this, Shadow Army, and the next card, Shadow Army tokens become more of like resource retirement. And it's really good because this basically becomes a 23k booster if it boosts a Shadow Army. And that Shadow Army is going to be hitting 38 on its own. If you Persona Road, 48. Brand Gate already has like one of the bigger numbers out of the thing if you count Orphis. So now that they're making it bigger, I really like that. And then you get a draw out of it and killing your tokens, meaning that you can call rear guards and fight against prison, kill them so that they can't imprison them, and you're getting a draw out of it while doing so. And I just like that card so much. 4 of, it's really good, and there's no cost to it besides the nuking. Next up, a card I really like the art of, and the effect I kind of hate. Cardinal Draco Owl V-Dread. 10k power, a triple rare, if I can read that correctly, for Orphis. 5k power, grade 2 intercept. Continuous during your turn. If your world is Dark Knight, this unit gets plus 2k power. If it's Abyssal Dark Knight, it gets plus 5k instead. It's either a 12k swinger and a 15k swinger, so that's pretty good. With the boost, that's 28. So, you know, Vanguard and this thing are more or less hitting for the same numbers to some extent. Actually, no, this swings for 30. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. Anyways, auto rear. At the end of the battle that this attacked, retire a Shadow Army token. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Okay, you know, kill Shadow Army. Nuke an opponent's rear guard guaranteedly. That's fine. I don't like that. I feel like this is better because it just gives you a draw and it kills both units, so it lessens the amount that you imprison for the opponent. Like, that's mainly what I think of. Because when I think of Orphis, I think of the one deck that Prison cannot beat. Like, granted, every deck can beat Prison. Like, Nirvana has the weird Trickstar back row thing that I will never do in my life because I have too much self-respect for myself. Magnolia, I feel like, has the most struggling matchup against it, but they can still do fine. Bastion, I have yet to see Prison beat Bastion, except for once. Bruce can easily kick Prison's ass. I've seen it multiple times. I've been a part of it. Yeah, Bruce can kick Prison's ass unless the Prison player is God and knows exactly what they're doing at every inconceivable moment, and they know when triggers are going to show up. And for this one just felt like the most capable deck of beating Prison because you could just call Shadow Army tokens and they couldn't imprison them. Now you're kind of getting more units. I don't like that you have to retire a Shadow Army token for this. I mean, this one I'm fine with because you're getting a draw out of it and it kills itself, so your opponent can't touch it. This one I'm just disappointed in. It's still a good card, I'm just disappointed in it. Next up, we have Diablos Madonna Mabel. Double rare, 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost for Dark States for Bruce. Auto rear guard. When this unit boosts a Vanguard, if you're in Final Rush, counterblast 1, choose one of the Vanguards, and it gets triple drive ton of turn. So now we're getting triple drive. 2 sets in, and we're getting triple drive. I don't know how long it took for V-Series to get triple drive or anything remotely close to that, but now we're getting triple drive. cool. You know what? I like this card. I really do. Triple Drive, really good ability because, unless you count Overload. Technically Overload is Triple Drive, so never mind. I resent my previous statement. Anyways, just by boosting, if you're in Final Rush, doesn't matter if you Persona Road, Counterblast 1, which you do not do a lot in this deck of, and get Triple Drive. And I know I'm making a big deal out of Triple Drive, it's one more drive, how much difference can it make? Yeah, well, when you're in my situation and you've been both, saved and fucked by Triple Drive becomes a really big deal to you. So, yeah, we also got Triple Drive in Bastion. I forgot about that. Last week, or I think the week before, we got Triple Drive in Bastion. So, this isn't the first card, but this is the first card for Dark States. So, excuse my overhypement of just Triple Drive being a thing, because I've both been saved multiple times and been fucked multiple times by Triple Drive. I'm having flashbacks to G-Series right now of me getting triple crit to death, where I should have just PG'd like my instinct told me to. But I was like, no, fuck it, I'm at 2 damage. The only way they're going to kill me is pull a triple crit. And what's the chance of that happening? Apparently very fucking high. So, yeah, I'm glad Triple Drive's a thing now, even if it's only for the battle. Or, sorry, until the end of turn. Never mind, fuck this card's good. Fora, fuck everything. And our second to last card for today is Diablo's Jetbacker Leonard. So, 10k base, triple rare for Bruce again, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Continuous rear, if you're in Final Rush, this unit gets plus 5k power, and when it would attack, it battles all your opponent's units in a column. So, okay, pretty much what Orphis did with one of its rear guards, so that's pretty fine, I guess. And auto rear, when an attack hits, soul charge 1, and if your vanguard is Diablo's Violent Bruce, choose up to 1 card from your soul and call it to an open rear guard. So basically, we are getting Pale Moon / one of the Brandgate / one of the Spike Brothers deck that I do not remember the name of. I like that. It's still a 15k swinger like it always is. It has 2 possible things it can hit now, so your opponent has to guard individually for them, because if it hits either, you get the soul charge. And because it's not a once per turn, if it hits both, if I'm correct on this, you do it twice. So, and it's for free. Yeah, 4 of. Why is this set the one that gives them good support? And our last reveal for today is Heal Guardians, which currently right now is a Royal Paladin. Or maybe it's a Kate. I'm not so sure. I'm not paying attention. Oh, no, it is a Royal Paladin. Or Gold. I need to read. So anyways, Heal Trigger. So yeah, they're basically grade 3 heal triggers with Twin Drive, no gifts. They have lower shield value, but they have the following abilities. When placed on guard, if you have not ridden a grade 3 or greater during this fight, choose one of the following. Either your Vanguard gets plus 10 to end of turn, or one of your opponents usually loses 2 crit to end of battle. So, that's a helpful ability to help with guarding. It's also 15k shield. And then auto when placed on rear from hand, if you have 0 damage, take a damage. So, counterblasting wise, and you may be wondering, does that activate for damage check? We'll get onto that later. But I like the art of this thing. Anyways, introducing Heal Guardians based on the motifs of G Guardians. So, pretty much, they're kind of like G Guardians. And they have lower shield than already heal triggers in V, but they have abilities unlike them. So, we already went over the effects and how you would use a Heal Guardian. You just place it on guard circle. If you haven't ridden a grade 3 yet, you either get plus 10 or an opponent's unit loses 2. And how you use it, you could call it to a rear guard, take a damage, use the skill of your unit that involves Counterblast, even if you don't get the trigger effect off because it prevents triggers from happening. You still get an effect off for a Counterblast, and skills will activate. So it's like a pseudo... It's like those cards back in Limit Break where on place if you had so-and-so amount of damage, put a card from your deck into damage face down, I think it was. Or maybe it's just in 0 that they're face down. But either way, you take a damage, and at the end of the turn, you heal 1. So I like that they kind of brought this back in a heal trigger form. So now you can run, better heals to an extent. I don't know how to phrase that, but it's okay. And what I hate about this the most is I know my friend is going to abuse this. He is a person, and I quote, he says this every time he's about to do it, "You can't kill me if I kill myself first." He'll play Grand Blue, and he'll either mill himself out to death. If we're playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, he'll just ram into a monster and kill himself. And now they've given us a way to do this. So I can imagine this thing's going to show up a lot during our games where he's about to kill himself. But either way, at least, they gave us another G-Guard to some extent. So that's really helpful. And that was this week's reveals. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon. I have a Discord, so go join that. I have a Twitch. I will start streaming there, so go follow it. I have a second channel focused on Beyblade, so go sub to that. And I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.